Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the opening show of High School Basketball Weekly for this year's high school basketball season 2024-2025. Tim Morey alongside of my broadcasting sidekick, Rick Bua. And Rick, it's hard to believe we've been at it for this is the 8th year of High School Basketball Weekly.
Yeah, and you know, in the off season, you're so busy with summer activities, you don't think about it. But as the fall passes so quickly and we get into the winter season and we get the chill in the air, now a little bit of snow on the way, you know, those kids hit the court this year a little bit later, Tim, because of the later Thanksgiving this year, because they start the Monday after Thanksgiving. So they're underway. And we're ready to kick this thing off.
Well, let's get kicking right off as the season kicks off next week with some games that we'll be covering. And let's start on the boys' side, Rick, and we're going to start with the Drury Blue Devils and Coach Jack Rissette's squad. And this is a squad, they could be favored in Division 5 to get all the way or to go deep in the state tournament.
Yeah, and I thought they had an outside chance to make the Final Four last year, Tim, and almost did. But to do that, they would have had to have beaten Pioneer for the third time. They've become rivals, as you know, for the last several years, whether it's the Curry Hicks Cage or down at in Northfield, or whether it's in North Adams at the Bucky Bullet Gym. But they've got quite a rivalry. They've been battling in the Hampshire South since it was formed a few years ago. And they just couldn't put that third win. And it's hard. You know that. It's really hard to beat a team that's that mirrors you in so many ways. They got a sharpshooter, and they're very big. And they took Drury down 54-44. But they had a very good chance of making the Final Four in Division 5, and that's quite incredible. And they've got a nice cast coming back this year, Tim. They have a real good shot to do that again.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about a couple of key returners. One a senior and one just a sophomore. First, let's start with the big man for Drury, Sam Mormon, the senior who averaged better than 12 points a game last year for Coach Risette. And I'll tell you, I think Coach Risette is expecting big things out of this big man. Yeah,
Sammy, was brought along by Coach Risette really slow, like he does with a lot of his kids. Got a little bit of playing time as a freshman and played as a sophomore, but played really in the shadows of Louis Gelati. So it really wasn't Sammy's team. And as a 10th grader, it shouldn't be. Right. But he did get all the experience that he needed, and you could really see it last year as he really stepped up. And he is a force underneath. What I'd like to see Sam do this year is control the post a little bit more, work the ball in a little bit, maybe draw a few more fouls. He's great off the glass, both offensively and defensively, and I think he's going to have a great season. He's the true big, and he's been a pleasure to watch come through for the last few years.
Another key returner for our Coach Risette, a young man we've been talking about now for a couple of years now, and just still a sophomore, Jorge Bond, the sharp shooting guard for Drury.
Well, ditto with the way Coach Risette, again, brings up his kids. He doesn't push them into things they're not ready for. If a young man is ready as an 8th grader, he'll play. If he needs to wait for his 9th grade season, and that's what he did with Jorge. And he was a starter, was the point guard. It's going to be his team very shortly. But he's one of those kids you really love to watch grow in talent and physically grow.
Right.
So, I've seen Jorge a lot in the gym this year. He's working really hard, gotten a lot taller, and works on his game. And he's just a pure basketball player, Tim.
Right. Some areas of concern for Drury, however, they've had a little bit of an injury bug early on here. As two of their returning players that are going to play a key role for them are currently injured, one being junior Connell Hinkle and senior Miles Beauchamp, both injured, both expected to come back.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're going to get hit with the injury bug, you want to do it now. And kids heal pretty quickly, and hopefully Miles will be back, they say maybe after the holidays. I'm sure the doctors and parents and coaches won't push him into it until he's ready, but they need him on the floor just because of his experience, his inside and outside shooting, especially his threes. He's confident. He's a great ball passer, good defender, and he's going to be needed in February for sure, if not in early March, Tim, if Drury's going to make a run. But that injury to Miles is tough right now, but hopefully he'll get the okay to come back very shortly.
A couple other key players coming back for Drury, the senior Colin Davis and senior James Varelas, who are going to provide some additional depth, especially early on with these injuries for Drury.
Yeah, and they're both seniors, and they both come through the program, and they both got a lot of playing time last year. James maybe a little bit more at the guard position. But he's another young man that has really grown, too. I remember doing a game up at Bucky Bullet Gym when he was an 8th grader, and it was either a state game or a Western Mass game, and Coach Reset got a chance to put him in at the end of the game, and he hit a big 3 from the corner, and nobody knew who he was. We didn't even have his name on the roster.
Right.
But here we are, James Varelas. You may see him in a starting role, especially with you may have seen him in a starting role without the injuries to Hinkle and Beauchamp.
Right.
But it all depends on what Coach Reset sees this week and next week in trials and practice, the scrimmages, and so on. But I want to get one word in on Connor Hinkle, too. If you're going to look at Connor Hinkle and you're going to look at the scoring column, you know, the last few years is 2 points, 4 points, 5 points, maybe 6 points. And I think he's going to give you more this year as a junior, but he is tough. He's a tough kid. He's a true athlete. His best sport may be baseball, but he's a very, very good basketball player. And you know, his shots gotten better. He's not afraid to take the shots. He's a good free throw shooter. He's a great defender, and he plays much bigger than his size. He might be 5'9" or 5'10", but he plays 6 foot, 6'1", and he battles the bigs down below. And he doesn't take any crap from anybody.
No question about it. He does all the little things.
So hopefully he'll be back very soon, too.
For Coach Reset. And Drury, speaking of Drury, we got them in the opening game of our televising season. They had a great opener Friday, December 13th, at home versus Monument Mountain. We'll be there to cover that one, and that should be a dandy to get the season started for Drury.
Yeah, I've got Monument Mountain right at the very top of the heap, even though Khalil Carson's graduation and the possibility. I believe there was an injury to one of the returners that Randy Coles has coming back this year. But he's got a nucleus of his team coming back, including, we'll talk about that maybe later, but Manny Brown, the brother of Boston College guard Deion Brown, is going to have a humongous season this year. So it's going to be a great test for Coach Reset's kids very, very early.
Right. The Hoosick Valley boys coming off a great season last season under head coach Bill Robinson. They've got some key players that they graduated, but they've got some key players coming back as well. And I know Coach Robinson is excited about the prospects for this coming season, given the fact that they went all the way to the finals of Division V in Massachusetts. They lost a heartbreaker to New Mission, and they had a great season last year, finishing up at 22-3. But big things expected for them this year. They should have a solid cast of players returning.
As good as Coach Robinson's kids were last year, and they certainly deserve all the accolades that they performed and earned, 22-3 is mind-boggling, because two of their losses were to Monument Mountain, which was one of the best Division III teams in Massachusetts, much less Western Mass or Berkshire County. So no shame in losing to Monument Mountain, and then fell to New Mission. But Tim, you look at the banners of the schools when we do these games, and you take a look at the 1,000-point scores, and sometimes you're stagnant for a few years, sometimes several years. If you look at up at Hoosick Valley, it's the same thing. Where do you lose two 1,000-point scores the same season? Very, very rare.
Absolutely.
And so the loss, the graduation of both Frank Field and Joey McGovern, Tim, it's really, really going to be big. You're losing 35 points pretty much a game. So the kids that are coming back are going to have to give Coach a little bit more. Defending has never been an issue. Size has been an issue. But without Frank Field there this year, they could be a little bit smaller.
Well, he's got some great returners coming back. He's got the junior Quinnell Bradley, who averaged 10 points a game and really started to come on as the season went along. Bradley gave him a lot of good minutes down low. He's an aggressive rebounder and a good defender, and he's going to be back. And another young man who's going to be back again. It seems like we've been talking like Mr. Bond at Drury. It looks like we've been talking about this young man forever, and he's just a freshman, Trevor Moynihan.
Yeah, just a ninth grader, Tim. So, I mean, this is where kids usually, if you're incredibly talented, might make the varsity and maybe get a little playing time. But he was an on and off starter for Coach Robinson last year. Coach Robinson brought him in off the bench in the second half of the season and through the playoffs, which really worked out well for them. And I thought was a great idea and a great move by the coach.
Right.
And but he's a very talented kid too, and make no doubt about it. He was you can call him confident, maybe a little bit cocky when he was a seventh grader. And
right.
But he's just got all the talent. And I've spoken to that young man. He came up and introduced himself to me at a game last year that I was watching up in Drury. He says, "Hey, Mr. Bohr, I'm Trevor Moynihan." And I said, "I know who you are." I said, "You're a very good basketball player, and keep your grades up." And he said, "I will." And a nice kid, real nice young man.
Yep.
When Aiden Wicks, he's another one that he's only a junior, but he's been playing. This will be his third year.
Right.
And these kids are averaging. 7 for Wicks. Bradley, you had mentioned 10.5 for Moynihan. And let's not forget about Will Hakes as a senior this year, too. A very good ball handler. He gets some shots off. He can make the three. And I think you're going to see him scoring, I'm not going to say double digits, but he's going to give Coach Robinson more than he did last year. We'll see what he's got for younger kids coming up.
Yeah, they've got a very difficult schedule. They play in a very difficult league with Monument Mountain, Wacona. So that'll be a challenge for Coach Reset, Coach Robinson this year, as he looks to improve on, it's hard to believe, a great season he had last year. The Greylock boys, this is another team that we're going to be watching this season. They have some great returning players, a young squad for Coach Tommy Verdell, who had a solid year last year, and he's got some talent coming back here, Rick.
Well, he does, and we could see it last year with Noah Kane Smalls. He was a 10th grader last year, a junior now, averaging almost 16 points a game, and that's pretty hard to do, Tim.
Yes, it is.
That's incredible for a young man, and he'll be the catalyst of the team. He's going to be their big scorer. There's no doubt about it. All the coaches are going to try to put their best defender on Noah, and they did lose through graduation Des Cobb, who averaged 19 in a limited season. He was kind of in and out for a lot of the season, but when he played, he scored. And they were good if they put those two kids together. You put Kane Smalls and Cobb together, and they were very, very good. And Judge Martin, their big guy, and he was a very unselfish player, averaging over 6 points a game. They're going to miss his size. But, you got Jacob Chelsea coming back and Nolan Barnes. And if you know the names Chelsea and Barnes, it's because their brothers have gone through the program already. So it's the younger version coming through.
You better believe it.
So we'll see, what Coach Tommy Verdell will do in his second season. He got the most out of his kids last year, and he's still building a program over there. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, Rick, another local coach who's excited about the upcoming season, Coach Chris Bullitt at McCann. They lost some people, but he's got some people coming back that had solid seasons for him last year. So McCann Tech looking to improve on their second place finish in the Tri-County North last year.
Right, Tim. And, as I said a few moments ago about losing 1,000-point scores, maybe Jake Howland and Walt Mazda didn't score 1,000 points at McCann, but they were their two top scorers. And there's 30 points right there between the two. Howland at 14.5, who started very slow last year and then really, really picked it up. And Walt Mazda averaging over 12.5. So they will be missed, but there's, like I said, every year on our preseason show, all the coaches have to go through graduation. It happens to everybody, it happens to every team. But Zach Howland, Jake's brother, really established himself in the guard slot last year, averaging over 7.5, almost 7.5. Eric Rougeau, who I like a lot and have talked about since he was a first year, averaging almost 9. These two kids are going to probably be 14, 15 points a game. They're going to have to be, and I think they will. I think you're going to see that when it's all said and done, they've stepped up when Coach Bullitt really needed it. Jack Dolan will be a senior this year, more of a role player, and I think he's going to score a little bit more. And Kyle Ruggio, who had a really, really good game against Drury up at Drury last year in the game that we covered, are the returners. And he's very high in a couple other kids. Mo Alexander, who's a sophomore this year. Alex McDermott, a lot of experience, not a lot of playing time, but he's hoping a lot. He may be the 5th starter, according to Coach Bullitt. And, he's got a few other kids for the JVs ready to step up.
Right. Turn the page now and talk about the ladies, Rick. This is going to be, I think, probably one of the more exciting years in girls basketball, especially in northern Berkshire County, if not all of Berkshire County, as we've got some great returning players this year. And we'll start with the Drury girls under Coach Ian Downey, who they lost to Renaissance in the Western Mass Class C quarterfinals, but they had a good run in the state tournament before they got knocked out in the D5 quarterfinals. But this is a team that's got a tremendous upside, Rick.
Yeah, I think their biggest win, and I think the girls needed it the most, was the upset win down at Lennox last year that Drew had mentioned. And yes, they did lose to Palmer the following week, but it was a very good ball game down at Palmer. Coach Downey's team has, the last couple of years, has really fought hard to hit that 500 mark, kind of like what Coach Jacoby's teams have done for years over there at Mount Greylock, but play their best ball when it counts at the end. And the Drury girls did exactly that last year. He graduated 2 seniors. One was a role player, and the other one was Brooke Bishop, probably the best overall athlete the Drury had at the school last year, female athlete. She only averaged 7.3, but that's not. She was never a scorer, and Coach Downey wanted her to score when she could. But Brooke added her value in rebounds and defending. She always did a great job, and she certainly will be missed. But they've got some really great kids. Yacenta Felix is back.
Yacenta Felix, Rick, I
She
agree.
was at the top of the Northern Berkshire and Berkshire County scores all last year, averaged over 10 points a game. Most unselfish, one of the most unselfish basketball players I've ever seen up at Drury.
Right.
Nora Wood, I liked her a lot. Saw her a few times last year. She averaged 5 points. She's back. The Hayden twins, Delaney and Ashley. Ashlyn fighting just a little injury right now, Coach Downey told me, but hopefully she'll be ready to go as soon as possible. Eva Moser is coming back. Now, she only averaged close to 3 points a game, but Coach Downey told me that she is ready and she has the experience and the basketball skills and intelligence to take a starting role this year. He doesn't know who her starters are going to be. He said it could be any of 10 or 11 kids.
Right.
So we're going to, you know a few, but he's uncertain on the others. But some key players that weren't with the team last year that he's very high in this year is Megan McGrath, who was injured her 9th grade and 10th grade seasons, and fighting a little problem right now, but Coach Downey thinks she'll be ready also. Isabella Moore's back. And Hannah Lacasse, who played for the first 2 years, took last year off and is back for her senior year. I mean, I told Coach, I said, she's so talented. It's a shame if she doesn't go out for basketball. And she's back this year. And he said she has the skill of a natural basketball player as there is. That's a quote from Ian Downey.
Right.
So.
Well, he's excited about this upcoming season, and he has a right to be right.
Yeah, and he's got some additions, Tim, too. He's got some kids that played a lot in the varsity level last year, and he's very, very high on 9th grader Addison Shepard. She's a big, and so is Elise Daly. Then he said they've both worked really hard on their ball handling skills and their post moves and scoring. So you can tell that these kids have bought into Coach Downey's program, and they are very excited. And they've worked hard in the off season. And lastly, but not least, Lily Moranti. She's going to be a first year, a 9th grade guard. He said she's a tall guard, but she can score in multiple ways. She's a good ball handler, a good defender. So he's really, really high in this team.
Right. Well, let's talk about another team, the defending Division V champions, the Hoosick Valley Hurricanes under Coach John Frederick. they're back again with some key players returning as well. I know Coach Frederick is equally excited about what this season holds for his team.
Well, we talked about in the boys' side of the Hoosick Valley Hurricanes with Coach Robinson, 23-2 or 23-3 or whatever. Another team with 3 losses of the ladies. Another incredible season. What can you say about this program, Tim? It's one of the best programs in the entire state, bar none, especially Division V. They're going to be a threat every year. And they did it building the program. They did it with 3 coaches. And Coach Frederick hasn't lost a beat. He's been exceptional with these girls, and he's got a great staff. He knows how to handle these kids, and they have the worth ethic again. And it's going to be it's going to be a lot of fun watching them. And he's got Ashlyn LaSure coming back, Emma Meswar. Those will be the top 2 scorers, I think, on that team when it's all said and done.
Right.
They averaged 14 and 11 respectfully last year. I think you're going to see a lot more from both. Ashlyn, we just raved about her since she was in 8th grade, and here she is already going to be a senior. And Emma, boy,
she
one
really
of the most improved players
Right.
overall I've seen in years. So
I think she was the difference in the final run for Hoosick Valley because much like Connor Hinkle on the boys' side, she plays much bigger.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, they're very very much alike. She just improved so much. She controls the boards. She's just got that natural box out and does a great job. And again, is very unselfish. But between Ashlyn and Emma, and you got Mary Capiello coming back. She'll be a senior this year, and Reagan Shea, Hannah's sister. Hannah, of course, graduated last year with Abby Scalaba, and Taylor Garabedian, who was the force of that team for the last 2 seasons. So Haley McNeese was a role player. They had a lot of kids that knew their role on that team, and no matter how many minutes they put on the floor or how many baskets they made a difference in that run to the championship.
Yeah, and Ashlyn LaSure, Rick, with a little over 800 points, she's knocking on the door of 1,000. Just a balanced player for Hoosick Valley for the last 3 years. It seems like we've been talking, as we said, about her forever. But she's back as a senior, and I know Coach Frederick is anticipating big things from his 3 seniors there in LaSure, Meswar, and Capiello. A team, Rick, that I think is ready to break out, and that's the Mount Greylock Mounties under Coach John Jacoby. I think this is going to be a big year for them because he has the real substance of his team returning this year.
Well, because we're actually filming our initial broadcast tonight, Tim, a little bit early, the Jamboree hasn't occurred yet. So I reached out to a lot of the coaches, not every coach, but a lot of the coaches. And, my thanks to, I didn't have to go to Coach Rissett, but I did go to his brother Dave Rissett. And David was very, very helpful, as he always is. He has a good insight of the team. Again, thanks to Coach Bullitt and Coach Ian Downey and Coach John Jacoby. I just simply texted them and said, hey, look, I know you guys are super busy, but you could just give me a general idea of the kids you may be having come back. And Coach Jacoby was kind enough to get back to me the other night and told me, we're only in the 2nd day, but all the kids that you had mentioned are coming back. So that includes Mia Filio, the senior, Madison and Tanley Drake, who were both outstanding last year, especially Tanley as an 8th grader.
Right.
She averaged 9 points a game. AJ Pelkey and Kate Chelsea. So he's got 5 kids right there. I'm not saying they're going to be starters by any means, but he's got some experience there, varsity experience from last year's team. And he graduated Phoebe Barnes and Jackie Brannon. But most of the scorers are back this year for him.
Yep, hey, they are. The real substance of this team is back. And as you indicated, Tanley Drake last year as an 8th grader had a tremendous season for Coach Jacoby, averaging 9 points a game, and just was very impressive as an 8th grader.
Yeah, I noticed her in the Jamboree, and I said, this young lady is very special, and I didn't realize how young she was, but she produced all season long.
So.
Tim, I just take like 1 second. I really like the Franklin Tech tournament they have for the boys and girls. At least the girls will have it again this year.
Yep.
And that's going to be wide open. I think that's going to be great for Coach Jacoby's kids, still very, very young. St. Mary of Westfield, Franklin Tech, the host team, and McCann Tech. So I think they can get a couple of wins down there possibly and a little confidence coming back to start the season.
Absolutely. On the girls' side at McCann, Coach Justin Kratz, they didn't qualify for the Western Mass or MIA tournaments last year, but they ended the season strong with wins over Pathfinder and Smith Voke. And he, like the Mount Greylock squad, he has some real good, solid players coming back this year.
Yeah, and you know, it's just like Tommy Verdell's team with the Greylock boys. You've got to give them some time to build a program, and you got to get the kids to buy into that program. And so we have a lot of established programs already here in Northern Berkshire and Berkshire County. And so the McCann girls under Coach Kratz is going to be the same exact thing. So you got to take a little bit of time and bring the kids up slowly. The more varsity experience they get, the better they're going to be. But Faith Brazo, who played very limited last year, who I really liked when she was a freshman, is a junior this year. So hopefully she's healthy and will be back. Amaya Todd, Brooke Reynolds, both very good athletes down there. Aiden Champney, who we had on the air last year when John Franzoni and I did the girls' game down at McCann, and Isabella Dodge. So there's 5 kids right there off the top. Again, by no means am I saying this is what Coach Kratz is going to put on the floor to start starting 5, but these are the kids who have the experience. And he's also pretty high on Alexis Lemansky, a 10th grader, and Whitney Tatro. And Whitney Tatro is the sister of the Tatro that we covered a few years ago when she played with Hannah Boisvert.
Right.
So.
Yeah, if he gets some backcourt play, that's always been a little bit of a bugaboo down at McCann. He gets some backcourt play, he'll be okay. I think that's really the key for McCann this year. Got a moment, Rick, we can talk about a couple other teams, but really one of the teams we want to talk about because we're going to be covering them when we do the Monument Mountain Jury Boys on December 13th, Friday, December 13th, and that's Monument Mountain. Watch out for this team. Even though they lost the Western Mass Player of the Year in Khalil Carlson, who's going to be attending Williams College, they've got some great talent coming back.
Yeah, what an incredible team Randy Colas has put down there. Couple key things, Tim. They won their first 20 games of the season. They finally lost to PHS in the Western Mass Class B finals, but only by 2, 65-63. That was a very good Pittsfield team, by the way.
Yes, it was.
And then when you think you have the best sitting in your backyard, there's always somebody out there a little bit better.
Right.
You know, and it didn't happen to the Hoosick Valley girls. They were the best last year. They were the best team, bar none, in Division 5 in this whole state. But I really thought, not knowing all the other T5 teams that you and I don't see in Eastern Mass, that Burke team that beat Monument Mountain must have been incredible. They beat them by 30 points,
right.
90-60. I couldn't see them losing at all, much less by 30 points. But returning this year is Manny Brown. He's a senior this year. He averaged 15. He's going to give you Coach Coles 20 points a game this year. I guarantee it.
Right.
Griffin McElroy, I always liked him. He's a tough kid, averaging almost 10 points a game. And Isaiah Kiefner, from what I understand, if my sources are correct, actually had an injury in the last football game at Monument Mountain this year. So not sure his status with his injury, such as Miles Beauchamp at Drury. So we'll see. But as you said, the Western Mass Player of the Year, Khalil Carlson, almost 23 points a game now at the Darrow School, has committed to Williams College after 1 year of prep school. So he'll be fun to watch here locally. And we have a young man that transferred to the Berkshire School, Tim, and that's Sebastian Gui Ramirez. And he also averaged 10 points a game. So almost every starter averaged in double figures last year, pretty close.
Right, and they got a lot of experience. Brown, Kiefner, and McElroy, it seems like they've been playing forever. They're all seniors, so if Coach Coldis can keep that squad, that group together with some addition, they got a great program down at Monument Mountain, especially a good feeder program. I look for them to be a tough out again this year.
Yeah, they are going to be, and that's why I think Coach Reset, no matter who he has to start the season, it's a good test for his kids.
Absolutely,
that's a great way to start.
That's a great opening game of the season.
And one of the parents told somebody I knew last year that these kids have been playing together since 3rd and 4th travel team.
Right.
So they have worked. They know each other. They're best friends, and there's no doubt why this Monument team is so good.
Well, Rick, that's a great rundown of our teams here that we cover on High School Basketball Weekly. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about the upcoming season because I think we've got some squads here, especially even in northern Berkshire County, who are going to be outstanding as the year goes along.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great season. We've got some great teams, boys and girls. I'm looking forward to the improvement of both Greylock and McCann, and sustaining what the Drury boys and girls and the Hoosick boys and girls have had too. We're always looking forward to that.
Right. And remember, you can see High School Basketball Weekly every Thursday night at 7:30. This time, we rebroadcast on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and we show it again on Sunday evening at 7 o'clock. So you got 3 opportunities to catch us here and get a rundown on all the high school basketball action, especially here in northern Berkshire County. So for Rick Bull, I'm Tim Morey. We'll see you next time on High School Basketball Weekly.